We were talking last time about the establishment of the monarchy or kingship in Israel, and I want to say a little bit about some of the features of Israelite kingship, and today I'll be coming back frequently to Israelite notions of kingship and royal ideology. But to start off, one of the most important things to realize is that the king in Israel was not divine, as he was in Egypt, or even semi-divine. Occasionally he offered sacrifice, but he didn't play a regular role in the cult. Israelite royal ideology was heavily indebted to Canaanite royal ideology. You have similar language that's applied to the kings of Israel. The king is said to be appointed by the deity or deities to end wickedness, to enlighten the land. He's the channel of prosperity and divine blessing for the nation. All of this is true of Canaanite kings as well. And the king, as we've seen, is spoken of as God's son. That doesn't imply divinity. It's a metaphor, the metaphor of sonship. It was used for the Canaanite gods as well, and it expressed the special relationship between the king and the deity. It was the same relationship as was found between that of a suzerain and a vassal. In our suzerainty treaties also, the vassal is the son of the suzerain. It's a kind of adoption, and what it means is that the one who is metaphorically the son is to serve the father loyally, faithfully, but is also susceptible to chastisement from him. And that's what we saw in Nathan's statement or pronouncement or prophecy to David last time. Michael Coogan points out that the notion of the sonship of the king was revolutionary. It was a deliberate effort to replace an earlier understanding according to which the entire nation of Israel was God's son. You'll remember during the plagues in Egypt, and God refers to Pharaoh as having oppressed his son, Israel, his firstborn. As Yahweh's son, the king now is standing between God and the people as a whole. And we're going to return in a moment to this new royal ideology and what's really going to be a very tense juxtaposition with the covenant theology. But first I want to say a little bit more about the characters of David and Solomon before going into the way royal ideology was later developed. In the Bible, David is second only in importance and in textual space to Moses, right? The amount of space that's devoted to him, second only to Moses. There are three characteristics of David which stand out, and the first is that he's described as being quite proficient in music and poetry, and so we'll see that later tradition is going to attribute to him not only the invention of various instruments, but also the composition of the book of Psalms. It seems to make sense that he would be the composer of the book of Psalms if he has a reputation for poetry and music. He's also credited with great military and tactical skill and confidence. He deploys his army on behalf of Israel, but he also, once he is king, deploys his army within Israel against his rivals. Third, he's depicted as a very shrewd politician, and it was David who created permanent symbols of God's election of Israel, God's election of David himself, God's election of David's house or line or dynasty to rule over Israel in perpetuity. It is said that he conceived the idea of a royal capital. He captured the city of Jebus. Jebus, it was a border town, so it's free of any tribal association, right? It's sort of like a Washington, D.C. It's not located really within any one tribe, and he captured this and built it up as the city of David. The city was going to be renamed Jerusalem, and it would become understood as the chosen city, the place where God caused his name to dwell. As Deuteronomy said, there would be a place where God would choose to cause his name to dwell.